crochet friends, I'm Tiffany and welcome to my channel. Now today I'm going to show you how to make this super fun shag rug with the loop stitch. Now I hold my yarn a certain way. If you have noticed in any of my previous videos, I hold it over my middle finger, under my ring finger, and over my pinky. And I don't see anybody's videos where they're teaching you how to do the loop stitch, hold their yarn that way. So if you need a tutorial because you hold it differently and you just haven't found a video yet, then this is the video for you. Okay, so my rug is 20 inches long and 13.5 inches wide, and my loops are about 2 inches long. So if you roughly make your loops about the same length, that's the measurement of the rug in the end. And I use an entire skein of yarn, so 482 yards, the whole entire thing with a little bit to weave in. And it's Red Heart Super Saver Ombre, which gives you one color from light to dark and dark to light. It's so pretty for a rug. For this exact color, it's sea coral. If you do not want the colors I'm using, just make sure it's medium weight size 4 yarn. For the video, if you would like what I'm going to use, it is called Deep Teal. Super pretty. Now you will need a 5mm crochet hook. You will need a sewing needle to weave in your ends when you're done. And the very last necessity that you will need is something so that your rug does not slide on the floor, because that's very dangerous. I'm using Puffy Paint, which is super affordable. It's only a couple dollars. I'm using gold metallic. You can wash this. So it's for fabric. It's permanent. It's not going to come off. And you can have your kids join in. They could write like a secret message. So easy, dries super fast. You can test it, put a little bit down, and then put it on the ground. If it's still sliding, add some more until it just doesn't slide. But it is a great alternative. There's so many things out there that you can use so that your rugs don't slide. So you do not just have to use this, but that is what I'm going to use. So that's all that you need. So let's get started. Okay, so we're going to make a slip knot to begin. Now this is the working yarn, so you just want to make a curve with it. And this distance should be about 4 or 5 inches. It doesn't have to be exact. And you're going to hold it between your thumb and pointer finger. And then you're going to hold the working yarn between your middle and ring finger. It's going to create a loop. Now make a heart with your thumb and pointer of your other hand and go underneath that loop. With your palm facing up, you're going to turn your palm facing down, and it's going to create an X. Turn your right wrist towards your left, grab that yarn, pinch it, and then let the yarn above and below fall off, and it will turn into a slip knot. Put your crochet hook through that loop, and then go underneath the slip knot and push the slip knot up to your hook. And you don't want it too snug, and you're ready to start chaining. So for my rug, chain 46. Now if you don't know how to chain, you put your crochet hook in front of the working yarn, wrap it around one time, and go through the loop that's on your hook. Put the crochet hook in front of the working yarn, wrap it around one time, go through the loop that's on your hook. That's 2 chains, and you're going to go up to 46. Okay, so I have 46 chains, and now in the second chain from the hook, you're going to do a single crochet. So if you don't know how to do that, you don't count what's on your hook. That is your first chain, that is your second chain, and you're going to go in that. So you go in that first, wrap the yarn around one time, pull through. 2 loops are on your hook, wrap the yarn around and pull through those 2 loops. And now in every single chain, you're going to do 1 single crochet. So go in the next chain, wrap the yarn around, pull through, 2 loops are on your hook, wrap the yarn around, pull through those 2. And you just keep doing that all the way down. Every single chain, do 1 single crochet all the way to the end. So pause the video, do all of your single crochets, and I will meet you there. Okay, this is my very last chain. And you should have 45 stitches now. That's what you're going to have for every single row is 45. So chain 1 and turn. And now we're going to work on our loop stitches for row 2. So the way that I hold my yarn is over my middle finger, under my ring finger, and over my pinky. And that's why I wanted to do this tutorial, because nobody shows you how to do the loop stitch while holding your yarn this way. And I needed to know how to do that. So you're going to go into that very first stitch to start, and then you're going to lower your ring finger and pinky, but for sure your ring finger, because you're trying to get that back yarn. You're going to go from the left to the right to go grab that first, and then you're going to go up and over the yarn right here, and it's going to drag the working yarn to give me my loop length. So up and over, and then go through the stitch. And it doesn't look like it, but there's 2 loops crisscrossed there, and then this would be a 3rd stitch. So take that loop off of your middle finger, hold it with your right fingers, just kind of hold it there, keep it to the right, grab your normal working yarn, wrap the yarn around one time, and go through all 3 of these loops. And then it locks your stitch. That loop won't go anywhere now. So we're going to go into the very next stitch and do it again. So you go in the stitch first, lower your ring finger, go from the left to the right, grab that back yarn, and pull up and over, and go through your stitch. Get that loop off of your middle finger, hold it to the right, grab the normal working yarn, yarn over, and pull through all 3 of these loops. And it will just fall in the same direction. So go in the next stitch, lower your ring finger, go back from left to right, pulling the yarn, go up and over that first yarn. Go through your stitch, get the yarn off of your middle finger, hold it to the right, grab your normal working yarn, wrap it around, and go through the loops. And that's all that you do. 1 loop stitch in every single stitch. You should have 45 of them. And it gets easier when you get a little practice. It doesn't take that long. It's just a little tricky to start at first, but you'll get the hang of it, of where to position your fingers, and then the consistency of the length of your loops. So mine is about 2 inches, but if you get, smaller or shorter, sorry, bumped the camera. If you get smaller or shorter loops, it's totally fine. Do whatever makes you comfortable. Maybe you have a preference for the size of the loops. So just go all the way down, and I will show you how to start the next row. Okay, so that was my 45th loop stitch. So now I'm going to chain 1 and turn. And the loops will be facing you now. This is what they should look like. They all lay in the same direction. So this is why it is a 2-row repeat, because you need those loops to stay on the same side. And if you were to do loops again, they would be on the back and front of your rug. So to get to the other row again, you need to do a single crochet row, just single crochet in every single stitch. So go in that very first stitch, yarn over, pull through, and do a single crochet, and then just go in every single stitch across, just doing single crochet, and you should have 45 at the very end of the row. And I will meet you at the end of this row and show you the next step. Let's to my last single crochet, and that's 45 single crochets. So you're going to chain 1 and turn, and now we're able to do our loop stitches again because they will be on the same side. So this is going to be row 4. So you go into that very first stitch and then lower your ring finger, go from the left to the right, grab that yarn, and then go up and over the first yarn and go through the loop, and then get the yarn off of your middle finger, hold it to the right, grab your original yarn, wrap it around, and then go through the loops that are on your hook. Just loop stitches all for this row, and you should have 45 of them. So I will meet you at the end of this row and show you the next step. Okay, that was my 45th loop stitch. So now we're going to chain 1 and turn. And for row 5, we are going to do a single crochet row where every single stitch you just do 1 single crochet. So that's all that you're doing. You're repeating row 2 and row 3. So you're going to do a loop stitch row, a single crochet row, a loop stitch row, a single crochet row, and you're just going to chain 1 and turn in between. That's all that you're doing. You're going to go up to row 79. We're going to do 82 total rows, but from row 79 and up, we're going to do a little bit different. So have fun crocheting your entire rug. That's almost all of it. If there's 82 rows and you're doing 79 of them, that is literally most of your work. So have fun crocheting that and pick back up with me and I will show you the next step. Okay, so I am back. I did my 79 rows, which is a single crochet row, and I wanted to explain why we're doing the last few rows differently. So as you can see, your loops are going to lay flat, and the beginning of your rug, you cannot see the back part, like just those flat stitches. It's very camouflaged. So you need to try to mimic that over here, and you can't just keep doing the same thing, the same size of loops. So we're going to start making just a little bit smaller of loops to try to make this less noticeable on the end of your rug. You're going to chain 1 and turn like you've been doing. So now we're going to do our loop stitches, and you're just going to do exactly what you've been doing, where you go in that first stitch and then lower your ring finger, grab that yarn, and then up and over. But just make sure that that loop isn't a huge loop like you've been doing. So it's a little bit smaller. That's maybe only like an inch in length now, where my loops have been about 2 inches. So get your loop off of your finger, grab your yarn like you've been doing, and then pull through. And then I'm going to do basically 1-inch loops along this side. And it doesn't have to be exact, just whatever length that you've been doing for your loops, you just want them to be shorter. So it's about 1 inch. And I'm going to take that off my finger and finish my loop stitch. So by making smaller loops, they're going to be shorter and beefier. They're going to just stay put and not want to lay as flat as your other length. So that's how we're going to start kind of covering that beginning area that you're just trying to hide. So if I lean this forward, you see how it's already not trying to lean that way along with them? And we're going to do that all the way down. So whatever your original length is, try to cut it in half So mine was 2 inches. So these are about 1 inch loops now. I'm going to do this all the way down for row 80. Whoop. And I will meet you at the end of this row. This is my last loop stitch. I'm going to chain 1 and turn and show you how much of a difference that makes. Just 1 row camouflages it. And all we're going to do is repeat that. So if you think that that length looks good, you can just repeat the same length, but we need to do a single crochet row first to get to it. So just start in the first stitch and do your single crochets, normal single crochets. This is not at all a different type of stitch to make anything smaller. So continue with the same exact single crochet rows. And you should still have 45 stitches. So I will meet you at the end of this row and show you the next step. My last single crochet, so I'm going to chain 1 and turn. We're going to do a loop stitch row again. This is the final row for me because I am running out of yarn. So you're just going to go in and you can do the same 1 inch length for your loops, or you can go a tad bit smaller. It doesn't have to be exact. Just don't go too small to where the beginning of your rug and the end of your rug just doesn't match. They'll look different if you kind of make your loops just way too little. So this is a great way to camouflage the end of your rug and not make it look too obvious that you did anything different. So if you end up with more yarn than me, you can keep going for more rows, but just make sure that you end on a loop stitch row. If you end on a single crochet row, it's going to stick out. So like this is a single crochet row, it's going to stick out. It's going to push those loops a little bit farther away from the edge, and you want it to be on the edge. You want those loops to be as close as possible. So just don't end on a single crochet row. End on a loop stitch row no matter what rows you're going to do. And that is all that you do for this. So I'm just going to go across my 45 loop stitches, and I will meet you at the very end and show you how to end this. That was my final loop stitch. So now you're going to yarn off so you can do like a chain 1 and then pull on your yarn and give yourself a decent amount to weave in. And this is the yarn that I am left with. So I don't even think it would make it through a whole single crochet row. So that's why I stop at row 82 for me. Okay, so now I'm going to do the puffy paint. And if you don't know how to do it, it's super duper easy. Couldn't be easier, literally, because it already has a tip on it. All you have to do is squeeze the paint out of it. There's really nothing else that you have to worry about. So shake up your bottle first. There was a plastic seal on it, so I already took it off since I used this on my other rug. And then you just unscrew this cap. This comes off. And then there's already a hole in the top of this, so super duper easy. And then tap on the bottle to make sure that all the paint goes to the tip so that you don't have any air bubbles while you're in the middle of, you know, piping your beautiful designs, and then just splatter of air that comes out and it ruins your project. So just do some consistent pressure to start, just to see how it comes out, and practice on another surface. That's why I just grabbed some paper. You could be bold and just start practicing on your work. It doesn't matter. It's going to be on the floor anyway. It's not going to be seen. So you can have your kids do little drawings for you, and you can just practice. So I'm going to do hearts, and I'm going to put my initial and my husband's initial in them. I did hearts on my other rug, but the reason I'm doing that is because my husband did an entire row by learning maybe, I think, 2 stitches that I did right next to him, and then he just took off and did it on his own. He does not know how to crochet. I don't know if I just said that, but the fact that he did the loop stitch, which is a very complicated stitch to start out with, I definitely would not have started with that. when I started crocheting, that's a very complicated stitch to me, and he did it with no problem. So a huge shout out to him for helping me do that. I think that's so pretty, and I love that he incorporated himself in this rug, so it's not just me doing stuff around the house when it comes to crochet. So give him a huge shout out. So I'm going to do some hearts. Hopefully you guys can see. And then I'm going to put a T for my initial and a S for my husband's. So cute. And a little plus sign. So that's all that you do. You just draw. You could just do lines all the way on the outside. You don't have to do anything fancy, but just make sure that you do something so that the rug does not slide. So I'm just going to keep doing my designs, and I will show you what it looks like in the end. Alrighty, so I'm all done. I just did the same repeat on all 4 corners. Just a bunch of hearts with our initials because of this beautiful row. So now the only thing that I have to do is just wait for this to dry, and it dries really fast, so that's not very long. Alright guys, so that's all that it takes to make your shag rugs with the loop stitch with the way that I hold my yarn on my left hand. There's many videos out there that teaches you how to do this beautiful stitch, but none that shows me the way that I hold my yarn. So hopefully if you hold it the exact same way and you've been dying for this tutorial, that this helps you out so that you can get to making beautiful projects with this lovely loop stitch. And don't forget to tag me on Facebook if you make this rug. I'd love to see what colors you guys choose. And don't forget to like and comment and subscribe and all those good things. It really helps me out. And have fun crocheting your shag rugs with the loop stitch. Bye, crochet friends.